It is not what happens to us in life that matters, but how we react that matters. Epictetus says this, and it's a very powerful quote, I believe, because there's so much in life that is outside of your control, and it doesn't matter what happens to you. It only matters on how you choose to respond. You have to worry about the things that are inside of your control, like your attitude and your perceptions and the way you perceive things. You can't worry about what actually happens because that is outside of your control. Nothing you can do about it, but you can control if you have a bad attitude about something. You can control how you're perceiving it. You know, there's a lot of things that happen to me, and I'll think sometimes there's someone out there that has endured this and it wasn't even a struggle. They didn't even take it as being a hindrance to them. For example, like being stuck in traffic. You know, some people are going to something they don't want to do, for example, and if they're stuck in traffic, they're probably pretty happy, or they're listening to music, or they're listening to a video they're enjoying. But just because I'm stuck in traffic and I want to get to point B, just the two different scenarios, I'm making it so it's hard for me to endure it, and for them it's easy to endure it. And that's all just a perception. It could be someone who's next to you in traffic. You're both stuck in the same traffic. You're both going through the same stuff. You could both be going to the same place. And one of you is happy about it, and one of you is sad about it. So it's really just a perception switch in a lot of things in life. And you can't be so reactive to everything that happens. You need to think clearly and look at what's really happening and how you should really react to this. You should be slow to anger. You should not be very fast to be angry about things and jarred and upset. You need to control your impressions of things, and you need to fully understand what's going on. And sometimes this takes a second to think through the situation that you're in. You can't just immediately interpret something and then jump head in. You got to take a step back. You got to detach from the situation. You got to see things from other people's point of view. You know, Henry Ford has a quote I like, and it's, I were to say there was a secret to life, it would be to see things from other people's point of view while keeping your own point of view. And that's something I try to do a lot. You know, it's very valuable to be able to see things from other people's perspectives and understand why they're reacting a certain way and understand why they feel a certain way about things. You know, because to them, their feelings and their actions are justified. And you need to put yourself in their shoes to see why. Because sometimes in your head, it is not justified whatsoever. And it makes no sense why they're acting this way. But if you put yourself in their shoes and you try to understand why they're feeling that way and why they're acting that way, it makes things a lot more endurable. And sometimes you come to the realization that they're not making that bad of a decision based on the information they have. You know, sometimes maybe they just have bad information. And you have information that you can share with them that can change the situation and change how they're reacting and acting. So I think you just need to really take a second in life and understand the situations you're in 100% and not just react instantly to everything that happens. You know, you need to, there's a Seneca quote I like, and he talks about how he'll quote a bad author, even if the quote's good. And the quote from this author is, anything that can happen will happen to you. Or anything that has happened to someone can happen to you. And that's a great way to look at things, I believe. You need to be ready for these things. The Stoics would call this premeditation mortem. I probably butchered that, but something along those lines. And it's just basically thinking about the worst case scenario and being prepared for that, not being blindsided, because it's a lot harder to deal with something when you don't see it coming. But if you saw it coming way before it happened, it doesn't catch you off guard, and you already expected it in some way to happen. So you're not going to be as jarred as a person who wasn't thinking in the future about what may happen and just got completely blindsided by something. So that's another way to help you deal with things and react to things. If you're already preparing for the worst case scenario, it'll be easier to endure it when the time comes. And Marcus Aurelius talks about doing this when he tucks his kids in at night. And I'm pretty sure he says he gets this from Epictetus. And he says, remind yourself that they might not make it to tomorrow. And he also, after that, adds that some people say this is tempting fate, but that is not in your control. That's just a superstition, tempting fate. But something that is in your control is preparing for the worst case scenario. And then when you wake up in the morning and your children are still there, you're so grateful and you embrace them. And it's not just like another day, because you were truly prepared to wake up and not see them. And it's not like it's a good thing, but if that were to happen, would you want to be blindsided or would you want to be prepared? Personally, I'd want to be prepared, and I believe everyone should be prepared for that, because anything can happen. It's happened to people, so it can happen to you. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.